बेनती करना please don't mind पर आपां इन्हूं थोड़ा जिहा seminar आंगर बना देना because आम तौर ते I basically have things on the projector system is pre-planned पर अज दा जिहड़ा content है lecture दा जां अपना जो भी विचार करनी है ये सारा तुसीं provide करना है so we want to exercise your minds so firstly what we want to do is I want to have you seated in a place because what we're going to do is we're going to use these two whiteboards आम तौर ते I do this with children जब कैंपां दे विच I do this topic with बच्चे and when I've been going to Europe over the last 2 years I've been doing this a lot with संगतां there and बहुत सारियां दे संगतां दे उन्हां ने कहा है कि ਜਿਹੜੇ adults है ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨੇ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦੱਸੀਆਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਜੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਪਤਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਨੇ ਘਰ 'ਚ and then I realized actually I shouldn't just be doing this with the ਬੱਚੇ that ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ adult ਨਾਲ ਵੀ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ topic ਸ਼ੇਅਰ and that's why we're going to do it here today with yourselves. The reason we picked this topic because I was doing vichar with some Gursikhs and a video has recently come out ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਣਾਈ ਆ in terms of the responses our children should give ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ response ਦੇਣੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਆ because now a lot of our children have gone to university for the first time because September ਆ ਗਿਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਸਕੂਲਾਂ 'ਚ ਗਏ ਆ and they might go on to new schools or new classes and those people that come up to them ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ confuse ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਉਹ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੋਣ ਜਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗਲਤ ਆਦਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੋਣ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਨਸ਼ਾ ਜਾਂ ਸਿਗਰਟਾਂ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਉਣਾ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਹੀ ਧਰਮ ਕੀ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਦੂਜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੀ ਹੈਸੀਅਤ ਕੀ ਆ ਬਾਕੀ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ because if I asked most Sikhs ਜੇ ਮੈਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛਾਂ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਮੁਹੰਮਦ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਜੀਸਸ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਤਾਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਹੈ and the reality is ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਲਿਖੀ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਹੈ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਅੱਜ ਇਹ ਖੋਜ ਕਰਨੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ 'ਚ ਕੀ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਆ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ ਬਾਕੀ ਧਰਮ ਕਿੱਥੇ ਆ now firstly this is very important I need to have a disclaimer ਕਿ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਦੇਣਾ ਕਿ I would say to you we're going to discuss other religions today and we're going to discuss Sikh religion if je apne ko sama mile we're going to discuss other philosophies because after we talked about the other religions I'm also going to bring in communism capitalism and atheists as well ਇਹ ਵੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਵੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ and all other world philosophies and then we can look at where is Guru Nanak Dev Ji to the atheist philosophy where is Guru Nanak Dev Ji to communism philosophy where is Guru Nanak Dev Ji to capitalism because essentially we all live in a capitalist society but Guru Nanak Dev Ji kehanda about capitalism because aam taur te no one talks about these subjects in Gurdwara and therefore but ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੱਚੇ ਆ they want to know about these things ਉਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਦੱਸੇ and that's what we're going to do and that's what we're going to discuss today so it's going to be very very interactive ਪਰ ਮੈਂ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦਾ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੀ ਨਿੰਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਪਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਆਈਡੀਆ ਸ਼ੇਅਰ ਕਰਨੇ ਆ ਦੂਜੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਕਿਸੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਾਰੇ because ਇਨਸਾਨ ਹੀ ਆ and this is important we're going to discuss philosophies the disclaimer I'm saying to you no one from any religion as a human being is bad because we are all human beings and human beings naturally are good people naturally ਹਰੇਕ ਬੰਦੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਚੰਗੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਆ ਗੁਣ ਜ਼ਿਆਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਔਗੁਣ ਘੱਟ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ so we're not saying that ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਮਾਰੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਮਾਰੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਚੀਅਨ ਮਾਰੇ ਆ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਿਰਫ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਪਿਓਰਲੀ ਕਿ philosophy ਕੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੀ ਆ because what is their philosophy saying and what we're doing is comparing philosophies not human beings because you will come across a Muslim guy and this Muslim guy might be really humble you will come across a Christian guy who might be really truthful you might come across an atheist who might be very kind and you ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਸਤਿਕਾਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ we should respect that values because ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਕੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੀ ਆ ਸਾਂਝ ਕਰੋ ਗੁਨਾਹ ਕੇਰੀ ਛੋੜ ਅਵਗੁਣ ਚਲੀਏ so we should do ਸਾਂਝ of all the virtues of human nature but today we're purely going to discuss the philosophies so beti I'm going to be in the front here and we're going to be doing things on the whiteboards I'm going to need 2 volunteers to help hold the whiteboards up if 2 people can volunteer don't be shy ਜੇ ਦੋ ਸੱਜਣਾਂ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੇਰੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਾਈਟ ਬੋਰਡ ਫੜ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ so please 2 people can step forward yeah so you 2 come forward and ਬੇਨਤੀ to everybody else please come closer and ਉੱਥੇ ਬੈਠੋ where you can see these 2 whiteboards ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਈਡਾਂ ਤੇ ਬੈਠਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਈ ਲੋੜ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਨਾ ਪਿੱਛੇ and all these people sitting in the back row ਜਾਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਹਾਲ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ please all come forward because we want you to be interactive if we learn this and share this properly, je aapa sari cheez da sahi tarah samjh karige, then you can go home at any time. You can discuss with your bacche. When I went to France, jad Paris to cha kita siga, log haran ho kende main 2 hafte apne bachchiyan naal hi galla karda raha about the things that we discussed, because mainu inniyan namiyan cheezaं mere man ch aa giyan कि मैं कभी अपने मैंने पता नहीं सका. And this is what we want, because you're living in Bradford. Now, essentially, your children get more pressure in schools than most cities around the world. Because every day at school, there's people saying things to them, the same way I'm going to be talking to them that day. So, Bintiya, jinne people at the back, you're still being shy, please come forward, sit closer, because I can't write so large that you can read it at the back. कि जेरे पिछे बैठे आ थानू को पारे नहीं होना सी की लिख रहे होते. ਤਾਂ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਆ ਕੋਈ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਫੇਰ ਵੀ ਜਿਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕਣਾ ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕੀ ਜਾਣਾ ਪਰ ਸਾਰੇ ਇੱਥੇ ਮੋਰੇ ਆ ਜਾਓ. ਐਂਡ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਸਾਈਡਾਂ ਤੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਆ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਆ ਖਾਸ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਪੈਰੈਂਟਸ ਆ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਲੋੜ ਆ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸਿੱਖਣ ਦੀ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਗ੍ਰੈਂਡ ਪੋਤਿਆਂ ਪੋਤੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਟਾਈਮ ਸਪੈਂਡ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਟਾਈਮ ਫ੍ਰੀ ਆ. ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Vaheguru. I'll tell you a personal story. Up until the age of 18, ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, same Gurdwara just like this. ਅਸੀਂ slow ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਕੇਸ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗੇ. Didn't have case. Used to go to Gurdwara, ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕਣਾ because parents said ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਆ. Every Sunday ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਮੱਥਾ ਟੇਕ ਕੇ we used to go outside in the car park and play football because boys ਇੱਦਾਂ ਹੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ. More interest in football. Went to Punjabi school for 11 years. Got a GCSE grade B in Punjabi and I still couldn't read Punjabi because everyone knows it's easy to pass the exams. Because in that time, in my mind, I was thinking, why do I need to learn Punjabi? I need to learn French, I need to learn German, I want to get a good job, I want to have a nice car. So what's Punjabi to me? And it's only later on, Sikhi then I realized I need Punjabi so I can read the Guru Granth Sahib. And then I realized actually I should have concentrated in the Punjabi classes because then afterwards I learned Punjabi in about 2-3 weeks. Because you can go on these courses and learn them. They used to do them in Southall and I went to Southall and we learned it in Punjabi in 2-3 weeks. So in my mind I was thinking I wasn't really interested in Sikhi as such. Because I see Gurdwara jane hunde si, Gurdwara in which politics, clays, same cheeja, Punjabi pana, and we thought we're not a bunch of Hindus. I don't want to be a Hindu. And that's how we used to think. We used to look at other Amritaris and we used to think they're Hindus. And then, so when I went to university, just before I went to university, I was more interested, because I was never really interested in drinking or smoking or it was never really coming into my mind. I was more interested in spiritualism. So the thing that interested me the most was Buddhism. Because Buddhism has got the right, what I would say, media management. It comes across as a really peaceful. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਬੁੱਧਿਸਟ ਆ ਉਹ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਲੋਕ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਸੋਚਦੇ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਸਹੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਬਸ ਆਪਣਾ ਸਿਮਰਨ ਕਰਦੇ ਹੋਰ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਫਿਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬੁੱਧਿਜ਼ਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਹੈਗਾ. So the first book I actually read on religion was The Life of Buddha when I was about 16-17 years old. And then going on through universities etc. At that time there's always a Muslim friend. ਮੇਰਾ ਇੱਕ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ friend ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਜਗਜੀਤ here's the Quran ਤੂੰ ਪੜ੍ਹ ਲਾ. And he gave me a Quran, and one day I was just bored at university, and within a couple of days I read the whole Quran, just out of interest. I thought, was in there. And then, so I read the Quran, I read about the life of Buddha, And then while I was at a placement during my university years, I went to a hotel. In the hotel room, in the drawer, there was a Gideon Bible, the St. James Bible. And I was bored that day, so I thought, chalo, because I'm always interested in reading. And I started reading the Bible. Bible we parli. The last thing I actually read was the Guru Granth Sahib. And it was quite a good process, because je main pehla Guru Granth Sahib par landa, then I wouldn't have realised oh kithe hai. Because main pehla oh cheezaं pariyan, I thought, yeah, ਉਹਦੇ ਚ ਕਈ ਚੰਗੀਆਂ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਮਿਲੀਆਂ, there's a lot of things I disagreed with. For example, if you look at in the Bible, there's 500 quotes of war. I've actually noted them down. I've got them on my laptop. If anyone wants them, I can email them to you. ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੜਾਈ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਨਾ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ. You'd be surprised because you don't expect that in the Bible, because it's tribal. And in the Quran, there's a lot of things I disagreed with the Quran. But when it came to the Guru Granth Sahib, I found nothing I could disagree with. So at that time, instead of saying that I'm a Sikh, or I'm a Buddhist, or I'm a Hindu, or I'm a Muslim, it wasn't that I'm a Punjabi. I just thought, I want to follow a common sense religion. मैं वो religion of मानना है जेरी sense बनाती है, because बहुत सारी जेरी religions है, because the majority of the world is becoming less and less religious. कि majority लोगों दे जेरी population है वो धर्म तो दूर हो रहे हैं. जिद्दां जिद्दां लोग affluent हो रहे हैं, जिद्दां जिद्दां कंट्रियां अमीर हो रही हैं, West दा पहला अमीर हो गया सगा, और जिद्दां India, China, Africa, South America, Brazil particularly, as they become more and more affluent and they become more and more middle class, वो धर्म तो दूर हो रहे हैं. But what they're interested in is spiritualism, because everyone's got stress in their lives and they want to have spiritualism. वो कहते हैं ऐसी spiritualism कितना लाएंगे, ऐसी अपना stress कितना reduce करेंगे. And this is why things like yoga, alternative medicines, and all this stuff, meditation is becoming more and more popular. ये चीज़ें popular हो रही हैं, पर religion नहीं हो रहा. And this is the way the world is going. And I was thinking in the same way, that I just want to have these things that help my life, but I don't really need religion. So when I started reading about Buddha, when I started reading about the Quran, the Bible, etc., and then eventually Guru Granth Sahib, instead of reading it and thinking, this is what I need to follow, I was reading it with my own criteria, that common sense ki cheez hai. And is what I'm reading, is it common sense? So, what we're going to do first, and I might need to change the volunteers after a while because these guys will probably get tired. What we're going to do first is, we're going to invent a religion. फिर मैं हुण तुहानू कह रहा हां कि तुसी सारे रब आ, and तुसी अपना धर्म बना रहे हो. तुसी मैनू दसो तुहाडे धर्म दे विच किहड़ियां चीज़ां हैं. Tell me what if you were God, what would you have in your religion? What is common sense to you? Let me start it off. I think there's only one God. Do you all agree? So तुसी सारे सहमत हैं कि एक ही रब है? Yeah? Okay. So the first thing in our religion is one God. What else is in our religion? We're inventing a new religion now. ਹੋਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ? Tell me something. Yes, Bhaji.
Consideration for everyone.
Sorry?
Consideration for everyone.
For everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. We believe कि ਸਾਡੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਹੈ. कि every insan दुनिया ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਹੈ. Equality of humankind. ਸਾਰੇ सहमत? Does everybody agree with that or someone disagree with that? Yes. Everybody agree? Yes. I would take it further. Not just equality of humans, but equality with nature. Equality with nature. किसे सारे human भी बराबर है, पर जेरे in nature दे जानवर भी है, उन्हां दा भी सत्कार करना चाहिए है. Do you think that is true? Yeah? Everyone agree with that? Okay, now we're getting started. Come on, more ideas. What else is in your religion? ਤੁਹਾਡੇ religion ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਰ ਕੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈ? Yes, Benji. Truth. Now, truth is an interesting one. I agree with you that there should be truth, but what is truth? It's subjective, isn't it? One person's truth might be another person's lie. So how are we going to find the truth? Let's look deeper. So you said truth. How are we going to find that truth? What is your process in realizing what is truth and what is not truth? Honesty, yeah. I believe they should be honest. Shall we make it factual? Or based on facts? No, rather than based on fables? Is that a good way of defining truth in religion? Yeah? So I'll put truth, but I'd put next to it, I'd put factual. What else? Come on, we need a quick list because we're going to run out of time because this takes a long time to go through all this. Come on, we need people quick, shooting out. I believe, so we've done equality of humans, equality of nature, we've done there's one God, we've done truth. What else should be in our religion? Love. Love. How are we going to define love? Yes, Bhai?
Unity.
Sorry?
Unity.
Unity. There should be unity, yes, but how are you going to define? Let me give you something. Shall we say we should have a guide? We should have a guide in our religion, but a guide which is actually written by the people that invent the religion. Do you agree? So you need to have, just like you've got the Bible, you've got the Quran, we've got the Guru Granth Sahib, but you need to have something that's actually factually written by the people who invented the religion. Otherwise, it's just Chinese whispers. Do you agree? So we put that first, so we need to have a guide. Yes, Buddy?
A purpose.
A purpose, very good. What is the purpose of that religion? We can look at that. You know, when I do this with 6-year-olds, I get more responses. And you're all adults, so come on, let's exercise your brains. I know it's Sunday, and you used to come into a Gurdwara and just going brain dead, and think, I'm just going to sit here, listen to a bit of Kirtan, I'll go downstairs, do a bit of Galan, and go home, because Sunday's my day of rest, yeah, where I don't need to exercise my mind too much. But let's try and exercise our minds today, come on. What else is going to be in this religion? Yes, Badi?
Love with equality.
We've covered equality. When we're going to go through it, we're going to go through that. But what else is there? Let me give you another, because I'm having to throw ideas out to you now. I believe that you should have a code of conduct. You should have a red. Because what's the point of having a religion if at the same point you're getting drunk? What's the point of having a religion if at the same time you're getting high on drugs? So should you have a code of conduct? Do you agree? A set of behaviours. Yeah? So we've put a code of conduct. What else?
Should have an identity.
Sorry, buddy?
Kindness.
Kindness. That comes into the whole PR thing. Come on, let's more defining principles. Yes, buddy? Yes.
Sorry, identity.
Identity. Yeah, identity, yeah. Come on, anyone else? Come on. You're a very sleepy God. Come on, you guys are God. You need to be inventive. Yes, Benji? Peace. Yeah, we can put peace in there. My 4-year-old's got his hand up and the rest of you haven't. Yes, Mahavir Singh? Yeah, kindness. Come on. More ideas, come on. What else has your religion got?
Patience.
Patience. These are all, you're giving me virtues. I'm asking you for defining principles. What defining principles has your religion got?
Do you need like an initiation process?
Yes. You need to have an initiation process. Okay. Shall we put entrance qualification? What else? Yes, buddy.
A method of worship.
A method of worship. Let me put in. Let's define that further. Do you think our religion should involve music?
Yes.
Yes, because music is beautiful. Okay. Anything else? These are different topics to what I normally get, but we'll go with this because it's your lecture. This is your seminar. You're going with this.
Access for everyone.
Access for everyone. Very good. Okay, let me put a last one in from myself. So Paji said access for everyone. And I would put, what does your religion say about people that don't follow your religion? Do you think that's important? So what it says about others. Now Paisa said manmuk. Again, manmuk, we're talking about virtues or we're talking about characteristics. Sage, yes, very good. Okay, let's go with this because this is slightly different to what I normally get from the children, but we're going to go with this. Okay, so we've got, before I carry on, is there anything else you want to add to this? Or koi cheez tusi add karna chahne? This is your religion, tusi aap design kiti hai. This is Singh Sabha Bradford's religion.
I say langar.
Langar.
I have some langar.
Okay. A defining principle, langar. Okay. So let's list, because we're going to go through world religions first, and then if we get time, we'll go through other philosophies. So we've got Christianity. We've got Islam. We've got Hinduism. We've got Judaism. We've got Buddhism. We've got Sikhi. We'll go with them first, and if we get time, then we'll start talking about other world philosophies. Okay, do Christians believe in one God? Yes? Yeah? Give them a tick. So what we're saying is, are these religions following your common sense religion? That's what we're defining. This is the way we're doing this. This is your religion, so this is your criteria about what is a common sense religion. Yeah? And we're seeing is, do these fit into that common sense religion? Okay, does Islam believe in one God? Yes. Does Hinduism believe in one God?
Yes.
Some people say yes, some people say no. What does it believe in? Come on, hands up. Don't just murmur, because we're going to run out of time. Hands up. Auntie G says yes. She says it believes in one God.
No, I don't.
Baji says no. Put your hands up if you agree with Auntie G, it believes in one God. Okay, put your hands up if you believe with the Baji, it doesn't believe in one God, it believes in hundreds of gods. Okay, so the majority of you believe that it believes in hundreds of gods. Okay, I lectured once in Eton College, next to Slough, and one of the finest brains of Hinduism in UK, he teaches there, his name's Jay Lakhani. And basically I had this conversation with him about one God or many gods, because I've always believed Hinduism believes in many gods, because Indra is the god for rain. Yeah, you've got every virtue in this world they have a god for. And I said to him, do you believe in one God or do you believe in many gods? And he goes, actually, we're now evolving it to believe in one God, because we know that our children, when we say to them many gods, it doesn't make sense. And because ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਤਾਂ ਹਰੇਕ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦਾ ਰੱਬ ਆ, our children say that's nonsense. And I'll give you an example, because they're inventing gods. I'll give you an example. In India, I was reading an article while flying on a plane. In India, you've got a Silicon Valley of India in Bangalore. And it was intentionally because it was the American Sikhs, ਜਿਹੜੇ American ਦੇ Sikhs ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹ ਗਏ ਸੀ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਨੂੰ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਕੰਪਿਊਟਰ ਦੀਆਂ ਜੌਬਾਂ ਲਿਆਉਣੀਆਂ ਆ. They want to create a hub in Chandigarh. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ we want to set it up in Chandigarh and we want to create a lot of jobs for Sikhs. ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਲਈ ਜੌਬਾਂ ਕ੍ਰੀਏਟ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ. ਉਦੋਂ Narasimha Rao, ਉਦੋਂ Prime Minister ਸੀ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਦਾ. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ about Narasimha Rao, he was the Home Minister during the Delhi carnage in 1984. ਉਹ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਨਫ਼ਰਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਕਰਦਾ ਸੀ. ਅਤੇ ਉਹ ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਦਿੱਲੀ ਦਾ ਕਤਲੇਆਮ ਉਦੋਂ ਹੀ ਬੰਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ. He could have stopped the whole massacre of Sikhs in Delhi within, was it 2 hours? Because you can shut down Delhi in 2 hours. Instead, he let it go on for 3 days before he called in the army. Because ਉਹ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋਵੇ. So the American Sikhs, according to Kushwant Singh in his book called Lekhdaya, Sikhs Unlimited, he writes that basically the American Sikhs went to Narasimha Rao, who was the Prime Minister of India, and they said, we want to create a hub in Chandigarh and create a lot of jobs for Sikhs, highly paid computer IT jobs in India. And Narasimha Rao said, no, you can't build it in Chandigarh, we're not going to give you a license. You can only do it in Bangalore. Well, the reason is because utte Hinduan the heartland hai. O kenda je jobba milniyan Hinduan nu jaan. Atte o Bangalore ch gaye, and now you find 3 million people in that area with highly paid jobs in India, and jehde apne Punjab de munde kuriyan jinna got master's degrees and everything, they're working in McDonald's or couriers or basically truck drivers in North America or UK or Europe, because ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਈ job ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ ਇੰਡੀਆ ਚ. And this is the thing, this is how economics and politics is used against us. Now in Bangalore, interestingly thing, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਕੱਟੜਵਾਦੀ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਸੀਗੇ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ we haven't got a god for computers. ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਸੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਰੱਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕੰਪਿਊਟਰਾਂ ਲਈ, ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰੱਬ ਲੱਭਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਕੰਪਿਊਟਰਾਂ ਲਈ. ਫਿਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸੋਚਿਆ, ਉਹ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਗਏ. This is true story, you might find it funny. And they goes, we're going to basically create a god for computers. So they thought computer, TV screen, keyboard, mouse. Here's a mouse. Who in Mahabharata went to battle on a mouse? Kera siga ke Mahabharata vich ek mouse de utte jang de vich lan gaya si.
Ganesh.
Was it Ganesh?
Yeah.
Fi ona ne, you go to Bangalore now, sare TV screen on the TFT screens ona Ganesh di murti lati. Ke Ganesh is the god for computers. And this is the way people use gods and just keep evolving it and making it. You see how that you go to anywhere in Bangalore, you will always see Ganesh everywhere. Why? Because he went on a mouse, and computers have mouse. Even now you got tablets, but that's sideline. But this is how it works. But essentially Hinduism, it doesn't believe in one god. It has a god for everything. They might say overall, but that's what it fundamentally does. Judaism, does it believe in one god? Yes, it believes in Jehovah. Buddhism, does it believe in one god? No, Buddhism doesn't believe in God. Buddhism believes in nirvana, in which what we call in Sikhi, we call it Sej. It doesn't believe in God, it doesn't believe God exists. It believes there's only a state of nirvana. Sikhi, does it believe in one God? Yeah, Waheguru. Okay, Christianity, does it believe in equality of all humans?
No.
Bhaji says no. Does anyone disagree with him? Does Christianity believe in equality of all human beings? It's making you think now. On one side, there's probably Christians do more seva in terms of good for humanity than probably anyone else, any other religious group on this world. Because they do mass food drives, they do mass Christian Aid, Red Cross, all of these things do amazing work around the world. But do they believe all human beings are equal? Okay, I'll give you an example of this. Sabha says no. The reality is I remember there was many years ago, I think it was 1999, there was in United Nations, there was a conference on world religions. And in that conference of world religions, they had all the religious leaders there. Akal Takht, the Jathedar was there as well. And they had various people, all the Muslims in terms of their top imams, they had the Pope, they had various people there. And they basically said, what the United Nations want to do, they said, we want to pass a resolution with all the religious leaders saying that all religions are equal and we shouldn't fight against each other. Common sense? Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Every religion agreed to that resolution apart from one. Which religion disagreed?
Christian.
Some people say Muslims, some say Christians. Actually, the Muslims were very savvy, they agreed to it. The only person that disagreed with it was the Pope. The Pope said no, and that's why it never got passed. He says, we are the superior religion. You'd be surprised, because people don't say these things openly, and Christians will always say, yeah, we love everybody. But fundamentally, that was what it was. So, equality of human beings. I would say, what would you say? Would you give that a tick or a cross?
No. Cross.
Come on, this is your seminar.
Big fat cross.
Cross?
Big fat cross.
Let's give it a half because you guys are undecided. Because on one side, they do a lot of good, but fundamentally they don't believe in the equality of all human beings. Does Muslims believe in the equality of all human beings? No, because if you're a non-Muslim, you're a kafir. And if you're a kafir, that means you're a dog. That means you're a lower person. And you've seen what ISIS do, but ISIS are not representative of all Muslims. But fundamentally, one of the things that we put to British government many years ago is that we want a ban on the word kafir. Just like you've got certain words which are considered hate words, yeah, whether they're based around race, etc., something like that. I believe the word kafir is a hate word, and it should be banned in UK. If people use that word, they should be able to get a criminal offence against them people. Because in your schools, you might not ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਇਦ ਪਤਾ ਨਾ ਹੋਵੇ, ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੋਕ ਦੂਏ ਬੱਚੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕਾਫਰ ਆ, ਕਾਫਰ ਆ, ਕਾਫਰ ਆ. That is wrong. Your children shouldn't have to tolerate that. That is completely wrong. We are not kafirs. ਅਸੀਂ ਵੀ ਰੱਬ ਨੂੰ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ. What makes us a kafir? You know, there's some organisations that call themselves, we're the infidels. They call themselves, we're the infidels. You call us infidels? But we believe in God just as much as you believe in God. So how dare you call us a kafir? So Muslims, they don't believe in equality of human beings. Do Hindus believe in equality of all human beings? No, they have one of the worst systems of discrimination ever to come on this earth, which is the caste system. The caste system is completely discriminatory against human beings. It sets them up according to their occupations, but it makes it generational, which is even worse, so that then people can never even strive to get out of there. Does Judaism believe in equality of all human beings? You're either a Jew, which means you're the chosen people, but bear in mind, Jews have been one of the most persecuted races in the world. ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕਤਲੇਆਮ ਜੂਆਂ ਦਾ ਉਨਾ ਹੀ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਜਾਂ ਹੋਰ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੋਇਆ. They are very persecuted. But often if you look at Jews, you've got Orthodox and non-Orthodox Jews. Non-Orthodox Jews are very basically open. Orthodox Jews are very closed. But essentially they don't believe in basically equality of human beings. Buddhists, do they believe in equality of all human beings?
No.
Baji says no. Anyone else? You guys are still acting like you're a bit sleepy. Come on, we should have a passionate discussion here. Do Buddhists believe in equality of human beings? Buddhists are very open. Buddhists are very loving people. Anyone who does meditation makes you very open-minded. It makes you a very loving person. But one thing I noticed when I was studying Buddhism, one thing I noticed is Buddhism, when they said that you go to reincarnation, only males can be Buddhist monks. Females can't. And there's one Western lady from, I think she was from either America or UK. She went to Tibet and them areas, and she meditated for 11 years in a cave, similar to what is their highest levels of medication. And even she was rejected because they believe that you have to come back, be reincarnated as a male, and then you become a monk. Only then can you reach that state of nirvana. So they don't believe in equality of human beings because they discriminate on gender. Do Sikhi believe in equality of human beings?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, we have to have a disclaimer here because we have to be very honest. Sikhs believe in the equality of all human beings. So Sikhi, we have to say yes. But if I was to put another category here and write Punjabis, Punjabis don't believe in all human beings because there's some Punjabis that believe in caste. There's some Punjabis that believe boys are better than girls. And so Punjabis are a different category, and you have to basically differentiate between Punjabis and Sikhs. Anna? Because Guru Sahib ne, Guru Nanak Dev Ji Punjabi nahi siga. Punjab da aaya si, par odi soch ek, what would I call it, ek community di soch wangar nahi sigi, keri Guru Sahib di soch sigi, jaise mein aave, khasam ki bani. He had no geographical boundaries, he had no cultural boundaries. Guru Nanak Dev Ji was bigger than any culture because he was with Akal Purkh, and Akal Purkh is beyond culture. He's beyond boundaries. Ek bari I went to a conference, ote Musliman bhi sige, Gore bhi sige, and the first thing they asked us is introduce yourself. And all the Muslims said to themselves, I'm a British Muslim. And when it came to me, I said, I'm a Sikh. And some of the Muslims and some of the Christians that were there, they said, why do you not call yourself a British Sikh? And I said, I don't define myself as a British Sikh because there's some things, even though Britain has given me some very good things, there's other things in Britain, in our history, that I'm not happy with in terms of what happened with our Raj, etc. So I don't define myself as British. But I said, I define myself as a Sikh, and a Sikh, Raj karega Khalsa, Akhi rahe na koi, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਪਾਸੇ ਰਾਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੰਗਲੈਂਡ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਾਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਾਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਯੂਰਪ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਾਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪੰਜਾਬ 'ਚ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਰਾਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੀ ਸੋਚ ਹੈ so we are beyond countries we are beyond geographical boundaries Sikh हमेशा जिथे भी खालसा आ वो रोम करदा है शेर आंगर साडे को कोई limitation नहीं हैगी in terms of boundaries. So a Sikh is beyond geography. A Sikh is everywhere. So I say to myself, I only need to define myself as a Sikh. That's it. I don't need to define myself any other subcategory to that. Okay, let's rush on with this now. Does Christianity have equality with nature? Ki nature de naal equality हैगी उन्हां दी जां नहीं?
No.
Why do you say no? Some of you said no. Why do you say no?
That can only happen through meditation.
Baji says it only happens through meditation. But if you look at Christians, some of the nuns do a lot of meditation in the monasteries. But why? Are they in tune with nature or not? Let me take it even further. Do they eat meat or not? Because I believe that if you eat meat, you can't be in tune with nature, because the thing that you're killing for your food, because now people go to Tesco's or Sainsbury's and utte ja ke chicken sandwich le lende a. Je ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅਸਲੀ ਉਹ chicken ਮਾਰਨਾ ਪਿਆ ਉਹ ਖਾਣ ਲਈ, then they would think twice because they see the thing dying. When I was young, I remember going to UP, ਮੈਨੂੰ ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਯਾਦ ਹੈ, I was only about 6 years old, and one of my relatives, because we came from UK, they killed a goat. And they goes, ਇਹ ਬਾਹਰੋਂ ਆਇਆ, ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ goat. And ਮੈਨੂੰ ਹਜੇ ਵੀ ਯਾਦ ਹੈ, when they cut the goat's head off, and that goat's head on the floor, and it was still blinking while its head was cut off. So I saw it was still alive, the brain was still functioning. So it had all that duk inside of it. It made me remember that, so it maybe put me off from eating meat. Now, do Christians, are they one with nature? Do they eat meat or don't they eat meat? They do eat meat. I remember having a debate in Burnham where it was in a church, and we had a Christian group. And they asked me to come and do a talk there on Sikhi. So I did a talk that Sikhi is the most environmentally advanced religion on this earth. So spent half an hour, I talked about the fact that most of the people on this earth, most CO2 is not done by cars, it's actually done by factory farming of animals. Jiri log meat khai jande a, that's creating more CO2 on this earth than anything else. And we are vegetarians. I guess we do Ishnan twice a day, or once a day at minimum, and therefore we don't need to have all these makeup products and all this other stuff where you do your animal testing. We do Simran, and we have a red, which keeps you healthy. Don't need to have all these medicines that you have all this medicine testing. And went through a number of things, and at the end of it, all the gore, all the ones that were there, they said, wow man, that's a really amazing religion. And the priest goes, actually, I would love to be vegetarian. I think I'm a vegetarian. I only eat fish on certain days. And all the kids started laughing. But essentially, this is where we are. So that's the next. Are Muslims in equality with nature?
Definitely not.
No, you say no. Now, how many of you been to Harmandir Sahib? Put your hands up. When you go to Harmandir Sahib, it's all outside, it's all rush, dust, pirya. But as soon as you take your shoes off, you wash your feet, you walk through, you're not even in the complex yet, but as soon as you're going through that gate, ekdam ek kan dangar ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸੁੱਖ ਮਿਲ ਜਾਂਦਾ. You get that peace, don't you? Where you then ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕੋਈ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਭੀੜ ਟੀਟਾਂ ਕੁਛ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੁਣਦਾ from the roads or anything. All you hear is shanti. It's a beautiful place, isn't it, Harmandir Sahib? That's our pavitra place. That's our special place. Same way for Muslims, Mecca's their special place. But if you ever go to the Hajj, which means if you ever go on that pilgrimage, they go from Medina to Mecca, and they basically do the same thing that Muhammad done, and they have to have, I think it's 7 rituals that they do. One of them is a well. They believe the devil lives in the well, so they throw stones at the well in terms of devil. But one thing they have to do before they enter Mecca, one of the rituals is that every single Muslim has to kill an animal. So you think when you see them going around, there's 300,000 Muslims walking around. That's 300,000 animals that have been killed outside the door. They have these big swords, and they have to cut it straight through the neck. And it's basically camels, it's goats, it's anything apart from pigs, chickens, etc. Because what do you think them 300,000 people eat? They eat that meat at night. So what happens was, when YouTube first came out, Animal Liberation Front went there as Muslims, you know, with the garbs, etc., and they made a video. And you see this river of blood. You see that river of blood from all these animals whose heads have been cut off outside of Mecca. You imagine that ever happening towards Gurdwara Sahib? We'd be in uproar. But this is their religion. This is what they believe. They believe that's part of cleansing themselves. They have to kill an animal to cleanse themselves. And they have to eat the animal. They share it together. That's their religion. So, are they living in equality of human beings? Because actually the world's biggest slaughterhouse is Mecca. You didn't realize that, that's a fact. Because where else is 300,000 animals being killed regularly like that? That's what Mecca is. Hinduism, do they believe in equality of nature? Are Hindus living in equality with nature?
No.
I would disagree. Baji, these guys saying no, I would say yes. If you are a proper Hindu and you are a strict Hindu, they're vegetarians. They highly believe in the environment. They believe that everything should be Ayurvedic and they should be natural. If you are proper Jira Sacha Hindua, they are totally in love with the environment.
Baji, if they're in touch with nature, then why do they put their hair? Because that's nature as well.
Okay, here we go. Now this is what I like. We need to have a debate. So in terms of environmentalism, they are. Now Baji said something very interesting. He said, if they're in love with nature, why do they cut their hair? Because hair is part of your nature. And he's very valid, that's very true. I remember Maskeen Dan Katha, he goes, on one side, Ganganu Jandeya, and they put these wigs on with these long hairs, look like sadhus. And he goes, Jira ko sachi idun de case hai ke ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਤਲੇਆਮ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮਸਕੀਨ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਧਾ ਕਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਭੇਸ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੱਚੇ ਆ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਧਰਮੀ ਲੋਕ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕਤਲੇਆਮ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ. And this is the thing. So, would you agree then half a point?
No, cross.
Baji says cross, come on.
This
This is Singh Sabha Bradford's thing, analysis. Point, who thinks it should be a tick?
If they're not in touch, they're not in touch.
No? One. Who thinks it should be a cross? A few of you. Who thinks it should be half a point? It's about even. Okay, I'll be generous and give them half a point. Judaism, do they live in touch with nature?
They do sacrifices all that.
What this shows is that you need to study more about other religions because you're confused. Sare dharman da gyan hona chahiye hai. If you look in Guru Granth Sahib, a lot of the Guru Granth Sahib is analysis, particularly from the Bhagats, of other religions and how Gurmat compares. Tired? Can we have another volunteer because one of these is tired? Baji, come and stand it. Acha. In Judaism, basically, I remember seeing this program where they basically said in terms of hair. And I was watching this program and they were talking about how special hair is. And so you had a Sikh there and the Sikh was explaining how hair is special to him. And they had all these others because every religion on this earth, this is something interesting for you to understand. There's not one religion on this earth that doesn't believe that you shouldn't cover your hair. They believe in terms of being religious, tusi apna sar hamesha dak ke rakhna chahiye. So if you look at Christians, if you look at their priests and especially their nuns, they will always have their head covered from the forehead back. If you look at Muslims, they will always have a cap or a hijab. If you look at even like, we'll come on to Buddhists in a minute actually, but in terms of Jews, also, it was an interesting thing. I didn't realize this until I saw the program because Jewish men wear the hat and they have the two bits of hair at the side. But Jewish women, the lady said, she goes, I cover my hair all the time. And the presenter said to him, but you've got a hairstyle. And she goes, no, I cover it with a wig. And that surprised me because what she said is that we cover our head all the time. So she goes, my real hair is underneath, but I just have decided to cover it with a wig. So it looks like she's got a right, like fashionable hairstyle, but all it is a wig. So that's their way of covering it. I'm not sure if she was unique to that, but it was just something that came across in that program. So in terms of equality with nature, in terms of meat and everything else is there. What about Buddhists? Are Buddhists in harmony with nature or not? Yes. Buddhists basically believe that you should always be in harmony with nature.
They're supposed to keep
I'd
their
argue
hair.
that again, Baji, because...
But interesting thing, now Baji brings this up again.
They're supposed to keep their hair.
Buddha, ਉਹਨੇ ਕਦੀ ਆਪਣੇ ਕੇਸ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਦੋਂ ਕੀਤੇ. Buddha never cut his hair. And now I'm in this debate with a really good friend of mine who's a Buddhist. And because Buddhists shave their hair. And I said to him, why, if you follow Buddha, why don't you look like Buddha? Surely that makes sense to me. If you follow this person, you should look like him. I follow Guru Gobind Singh. My identity makes me want to look like him at least. So why don't you look like him? And he struggled to explain it. He's talking about cleanliness and stuff like that. I goes, yeah, I'm clean. I do Ishnan. So Baji is valid. So we'll have to put, shall we put an X or shall we put half a point?
It can't be half a point, it's the next.
Okay, Baji's a teacher, I don't want to argue with him. He says you can't have half a point. Why can't you have half a point?
Because if you're in touch with nature, you live in the way God made you. So if you're shaving your head, you're not living the way God made you.
Okay, so it's an X then.
Bhai Sahib, but the fundamental religion, Buddhism, preaches that you have to keep your hair.
Okay, Baji says the fundamental religion of Buddhism says you have to keep your hair.
They're supposed to keep the hair, but they do shave the hair. Because they consider it a hindrance to meditation. Combing the hair and stuff like that.
They consider it a hindrance to meditation. So Baji's saying here that Buddhists are meant to keep their hair, but they shave it because they consider it a hindrance to meditation. Okay, so that makes it an X then, because hair is part of your nature.
No, but I'm saying the fundamental religion of Buddhism is supposed to preach that.
Then we're going to have to go to a half point. Okay. Right. But interestingly thing is, in terms of Sikhs, living with your nature is very important. It's in harmony. When I've done my other talk about equilibrium, finding your natural equilibrium, it's about your mind. You find sage, which is your equilibrium of your mind in terms of your meditation. But your body's got to be in equilibrium as well. Because if your body's always fighting you, then you're not living in natural balance. And if you basically shave, you're fighting yourself. Because your gears will keep coming back. That's why you get stubbles, and that's why you keep coming back. And one of the most thing is, and interestingly thing, Jere Mama ne agle generation the Sikhanu Jamanaya, if they're saying, oh, it's too much hassle for me to keep my gears of my children because I have to comb it every day, then that's not a good standard. Just like Baji says that some people say it's a hindrance to their spirituality, for Sikhi, it's a key essential of our spirituality. So, in Sikhi, do we live in harmony with nature? Yes. Okay, truth, factual. Is Christianity, now, this is very hard to judge, but so let's just put it onto the actual guide. The guide is the Bible for Christianity. Is the Christianity, the guide, the Bible, factual or not? No. Baji says no. Does anyone disagree? Does anyone say it's yes? Is it based on facts?
It's gospels and stories.
It's actually based on, a lot of it is fables, it's stories with morals. But there's fundamental things that have been proven. So let me give you a bit of analysis on this. Firstly, you have the Old Testament, which is more about Judaism. Then you have the New Testament, which is written by the disciples, some of the key disciples. Jesus never wrote the Bible. Jesus ne kade Bible nahi likhi. And then you have the St. James Bible, which is the politically correct version of the Bible. Because the fundamental Bible, the original ones, they believed in racism. They believed the earth was flat. They believed in basically war, that you could have war with other tribes. There were so many things in there that were untrue. So Galileo was a scientist, he proved the earth was round, and the Pope had him killed. Which is why Ratzenberger, one of the recent popes, had to give a public apology for killing Galileo. Yeah? They killed him because he proved that the Bible was wrong, and they couldn't handle that, because the earth is not flat. So what happened with the Bible was that over time, science has proved it to be not factual, because people didn't come from Adam and Eve. The world didn't come from Adam and Eve. That's been proved. It can't. It's not possible. So, because genetically, if you come from one mother and one father, just like the Egyptians were, or just like you now got Muslims that will marry their cousins, etc., over time, your genetics clash, which is why they have more sickle cell disease, which is why they have more people that are disabled in their children, which is why they have more health problems. And the same thing happened with the pharaohs, because the pharaohs only married their mothers, their sisters, or their daughters, because they believed that they were the pure race. So what happened is they killed themselves. Their genetics killed themselves naturally. And that's the thing, you can't clash like that. So that's not factual. So what happened was they created the King James Bible, which is the first English language Bible. When they did that, they edited out all these things that were not right, about racism, about sexism, all these other things. And that's the Bible most of you read today, that if you do read the Bible, is the King James Bible. You compare that to Guru Granth Sahib. Have we ever had to edit out the Guru Granth Sahib with time? No. Because the Guru Granth Sahib is Aad Sach, Jugad Sach, है भी सच नान खोसी भी सच ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕ੍ਰਿਸਚੀਅਨ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੀ ਬਾਈਬਲ ਬਦਲਣੀ ਪਈ ਜਿੱਦਾਂ ਸਾਇੰਸ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦਿਖਾ ਲਿਆ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜੋ ਬਾਈਬਲ 'ਚ ਲਿਖਿਆ ਗਲਤ ਆ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਉਹ ਕਿੰਗ ਜੇਮਸ ਬਾਈਬਲ ਉਹਨੇ ਸਾਰਾ ਉਹਦਾ ਸਫਾਈ ਕਰਨੀ ਪਈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ Guru Granth Sahib has been proved more by science because Guru Nanak Dev Ji said 400 years ago that their cells exist and amoeba exist And 1 cell becomes 2 cells, and that becomes 4 cells, and that becomes 8 cells. We now study that in science. Guru Sahib Nanak said that. Guru Nanak Dev Ji talked about there's not just 7 planets like they say in Islam, there's 9 planets in our solar system, etc. So let me just go through this. So that is not factual. In terms of Islam, is the Quran factual or not?
Yes.
Yes? No? According to Muslims, they believe there's only 7 planets. When Guru Nanak Dev Ji went to Baghdad, their top scholar was Peer Dastagir. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji had a debate with Peer Dastagir. Peer Dastagir said, yes, the earth is not flat. Your Christian Kinde, they're wrong. That the earth has got other planets, but there's only 7 of them. And Guru Nanak Dev Ji said, Lak Agasa Agas, Lak Patala Patal. And he go Peer Dastagir's son, he said, bring me your son. And he put his hand on top of his son. And he showed his son that there's all these planets. There's all these solar systems, all these universes, etc. So the Quran has actually been proved wrong with science as well. And there's various things. You'll see all these various YouTube videos where Muslims say, oh no, in terms of ours being proved right with science. But if you actually look at it, it's fundamentally. And the other thing about the Quran, is the Quran factual or is it fables? Because I remember listening to the actual thing when they do Hajj. You know, when the Islam channel first came out, again in my student days when you have too much free time, I thought I'd just follow it. So I followed it one morning all the way through all their prayers. And their prayers are very different, because their prayers say, if you don't do this, then this will happen to you. If you don't do this, then this will happen to you. If you don't do this, then this will happen to you. And I thought, wow, what kind of religion is this? It's basically just scaring people. Because that's all it said. Je tusi aa kam nahi karde, tad Rab ne thonu aa kar dena. Je tusi aa kam nahi karde, Rab ne thonu aa kar dena. And you look at Japji Sahib sanu dronda nahi hai ka. We're not a religion that's based on fear. We're a religion that's based on love. Joto prem kilan ka chao, sirta tali kali mein aao. That basically you come with me with your humility, with your head in your hands. This is a path of love. This is a game of love. Hinduism. Is the Vedas and the Puranas based on facts? Bhai says no. Why do you say no, Bhai? Come on, let's justify what you're saying with the facts. Is the Vedas and the Puranas based on facts? Was there really a family of the Kauravas? Was there really a family of the Pandavas? Were there really 5 husbands and 1 wife? Did Krishna really have 125 slave girls? I'm sorry, 125,000 slave girls. Because this is what Mahabharata is all about. The Mahabharata is a world soap opera. That's what it is. And this is why Jinne bhi apne Guru Sahib sare Mahabharata khandan kar rahe hain. And this is also what's happening in India now, especially in since the last election, because Hindu fundamentalists are really ramming it down. And so that those people who are atheists, Hindus or people of the culture, who basically don't believe in it, because what happened in Mahabharata, jab Mahabharata bani pehli bari telly te aayi, 2 fundamental things happened. Those people that were rich and educated, they looked at this TV serial and they said, is this my religion? It's embarrassing. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੜ੍ਹੇ ਲਿਖੇ ਲੋਕ ਸੀਗੇ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਇਹ ਸਾਡਾ ਧਰਮ ਆ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਸ਼ਰਮ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੋਂ ਕਿ 5 ਬੰਦੇ ਨੇ ਇੱਕ ਬੀਬੀ ਨਾਲ ਵਿਆਹ ਕੀਤਾ ਆ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਗੈਂਬਲਿੰਗ ਕਰਕੇ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਖਰਾਤਾ ਉਹਦੇ ਕੱਪੜੇ ਉਤਾਰਤੇ ਹਨਾ ਕਿ ਇਹ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਧਰਮ ਆ ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਰੱਬ ਆ ਬਿਕਾਜ਼ ਆਮ ਬੰਦਾ ਈਵਨ ਆਮ ਬੰਦਾ ਡਸਨਟ ਡੂ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਰਕਤਾਂ ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਅਨਪੜ੍ਹ ਸੀਗੇ those people that were ਅਨਪੜ੍ਹ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਮਹਾਭਾਰਤ ਦੇ so engrossed in it ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਟੀਵੀ ਸਟਾਰ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ MP ਬਣਾਤੇ ਵੋਟ ਕਰਕੇ. That's what happened. It basically polarized their society. But is the Mahabharata based on facts? No. Judaism, Jehovah, etc. The Abrahamic religions, the first one of the Abrahamic religions. Is it factual?
Same as Christianity.
It's the same as Christianity. It's based on fables, etc. Is Buddhism based on facts? Is Buddhism based on facts? This is again, I want you to read more. I want you to understand other religions, because how can you make a judgment if you don't have knowledge on these things? Basically, Buddha had certain fundamental principles, which is basically says that things need to be reincarnated. You need to be living in peace. You've got so many fundamental principles. All of them are beautiful principles, but they're still very basic. And there's basically what Buddhism actually believes in is factual. The only thing I don't believe in Buddhism that is factual is one, is gender discriminatory, and the second one, it doesn't believe in God. They're the two areas I found I disagree with Buddhism. Most of the rest of it I find is very agreeable. Do you agree? So I would give it, again, half. Does Sikhi based on facts? Yeah? Are you confident?
Yes.
Could you get any major scientist and basically Charles Darwin or Stephen Hawkins and have them against the Guru Granth Sahib? You think the Guru Granth Sahib will come on top? I'm confident in that. Guide. Was the Bible written by Jesus? No. And if we start Chinese whispers from there, if I start with Benji at the front, and by the time it gets back over to here, it'll be something different. You know that. So the guide is not written by the person that started that religion. So is it reflective of what Jesus said? We don't know. Is Islam, was it the Quran written by Muhammad? No, Muhammad was illiterate. He couldn't read or write. He was a slave trader. And this is one of the fundamental issues I have with Islam, is if the fundamental person who runs that, who found that religion was a slave trader, when he was selling them slaves, didn't he find God in them slaves? How can you sell slaves? My Guru, Guru Hargobind Sahib, was a liberator. ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੋਕ ਬੰਦੀ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੰਦੀ ਸ਼ੋਰ ਕਰਤੇ ਉਹਨੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮੁਹੰਮਦ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬੰਦੀ ਕਰਕੇ ਵੇਚਦਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਅਤੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਰੱਬ ਦਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਆ I have a problem with that. I think that you can't be one with God and have slaves and be selling them. I find that fundamentally disagreeable, just as I find that marrying a 6-year-old girl is disagreeable. I'm being very blatant with you, because anyone who marries a 6-year-old girl and who's 40 years old is not, or is 56 and is marrying a 6-year-old girl, you don't call that person a prophet, you call that person a paedophile. And I've said that openly in universities. That person is a paedophile. So this is what I'm saying. ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੋਚੋ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮ ਇੱਕ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮ ਇੱਕ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ because ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਦਾ ਕੈਰੈਕਟਰ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗਾ Is Hinduism the Vedas and Puranas, were they written by Krishna? Were they written by Ram? Were they written by Sita? No, they were written by people like Manu, Pandits, who invented the caste system. And if you actually look at the Vedas and Puranas, originally were very good. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੀਆਂ ਚੰਗੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਸੀਗੀਆਂ ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਪੰਡਤਾਂ ਨੇ over time manipulated them so much ਅੱਜ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਧਰਮ ਕੀ ਆ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂਆਂ ਕੋਲ ਜਾਓ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਪੁੱਛੋ ਕਿ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਧਰਮ ਕੀ ਆ ਉਹੀ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ ਬਸ ਹੈਨਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਭੰਗ ਖਾਈ ਜਾਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਰੋਲ ਕਰੀ ਜਾਓ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੇਚ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਮੰਦਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵਰਤੋ like the BBC done an exposure on them ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਪੰਡਤ ਆ ਸਾਰੇ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਨਹੀਂ ਤਾਂ ਬਾਕੀ ਸਾਰੇ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ that's what they fundamentally believe but ਹਿੰਦੂ ਕੌਣ ਆ because ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ ਉਹ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ ਆ because ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਆ ਉਹ ਲਫ਼ਜ਼ ਦਾ ਨਾਂ ਆ ਅਰਥ ਉਹਦਾ ਇਹ ਆ it means a dog and a thief so ਜਦੋਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ ਹਮੇ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨੀ ਜਦੋਂ ਸ਼ਾਹਰੁਖ ਖਾਨ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹਮੇ ਹਿੰਦੁਸਤਾਨੀ ਗਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਕੁੱਤਾ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਚੋਰ ਆ because ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮੁਗਲ ਸੀਗੇ when they went to India they said don't trust these pandits ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਵਾਸ ਨਾ ਕਰੋ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਕੈਰੈਕਟਰ ਬਹੁਤ ਚਲਾਕ ਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਸਾਧਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਨਾਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਆ because the actual word for Hindus if you speak to anyone who's serious about Hinduism and has knowledge of it ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ I'm not Hindu ਅਸੀਂ Arya ਆ we are the Aryan nation and that's why they have this sign they have this sign who else has that sign Hitler because they both believe they're the Aryan nation that they were the first people ਇਹ ਦੋ ਹੀ same ਚੀਜ਼ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ Hindu ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾ ਲੋਕ ਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ Hitler ਸੀਗੇ he said the first Aryan nation were people that were blonde and blue eyes they both believe they're Aryan nation they're nationalist thinking but the Vedas and Puranas etc are not based on facts Judaism is that based on facts have we got a sorry what are you saying
you can't like split the sea in half so it's not really factual
Baji said you can't really split the sea in half. Okay, let's separate what is actually their historic things and what is actually written in the Torah. The Torah is their guide. And the reality is, I can't answer that because I've never read the Torah. So I would basically put a question mark on there. Because I don't want to judge something until I've read it. Buddhism, is that written by Buddha? The fundamental principles of Buddhism are written by Buddha, but do what Buddhists do today, are they following what Buddha says? One of the fundamental things is Buddha didn't cut his case. Because you look at none of the religious leaders here ever cut their case. Here's another fact for you. Jesus, if you read the Old Testament, when they actually say about, they actually describe Jesus, that Jesus wasn't a hippie with long hair and a short beard, yeah, like at the 1960s. Jesus never cut his case. He had a very beautiful beard. And Jesus was brown skinned. He was the same colour as us because he was born in Palestine. He was born in them areas. And Jesus, according to the Old Testament, always wore the star and always wore a blue coloured the star. So Jesus ne hamesha the star banni si, oh bhi neele rang di banni sigi. So he never had his hair down. He actually wore a turban all the time, according to the Old Testament.
It says in Joseph's Gospel that thou shalt not enter the gates of heaven one who does not wear a linen turban.
Baji says according to which Gospel?
Joseph's.
Joseph's Gospel. One will never enter the gates of heaven unless they wear a linen turban. Okay, so in Islam, Muhammad never cut his case. It wasn't common because Gillette and Wilkinson sword wasn't invented in them days. You know, they basically, everyone had case. Hinduism, and all the Hindu gods, Ram, Krishna, etc., they all had full case. Judas, the fundamental people in terms of Judaism, they always had their case. Buddha always had his case. He never cut his case. Which then leaves the irony is, why do Buddhists cut their case? Okay. Sikhi. Was the Guru Granth Sahib written by the Gurus? Not only was it written once, it was written twice. First it was compiled by Guru Arjan Dev Ji, and then it was recompiled by Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Twice it was done to show you this is fundamentally, and it was given a numbering system so you can't edit it, you can't change it in any way. It's done fundamentally, it was given a rag system, it was given so many systems so it can never be changed. Okay, running out of time. So I'm just going to rush through some of these. Okay, code of conduct. Does Christianity have a code of conduct? I'm going to rush through because we're going to run out of time. Does Christianity have a code of conduct? Come on, we're going to be quick because otherwise you're going to say to me it's 2 o'clock and we're still sitting here. So let's try and do this quickly. It's not 2 o'clock, I'm just saying to you. But does Christianity have a code of conduct?
Yeah.
Baji says yes. What is their code of conduct?
I don't know what it is, but I'm guessing.
So when the priest says this wine is the blood of Jesus, so they are allowed to drink wine. That's against our code of conduct. Yeah, they have a code of conduct, but it's done in a certain way. Would you agree with that code of conduct? This is your religion, this is your thing. Do you think it's right to drink wine and be a religious person?
It's not wine.
It's not wine. Please educate me. What is it?
It's something that doesn't have alcohol.
Non-alcoholic wine.
It's made
Ribena.
to doesn't have alcohol.
Very good. Okay, that changes things then, because non-alcoholic wine is, loads of people drink that. So, in terms of, what do you think is the code of conduct of Christians? What things can they do, can't do? Do they have things in their religion say that if you do these things, you're no longer a Christian? Do they have that kind of code of conduct? Anyone? Yes, so they do have a code of conduct. They are strict on abortion. They are strict on certain things. So they do have a code of conduct.
Isn't it the 10 Commandments?
10 Commandments, so they do have a code of conduct. Yeah, the 10 Commandments, yes. Okay. Do Muslims have a code of conduct?
Yeah, the Sharia law.
Sharia law. So they have a code of conduct. Is that a code of conduct that you find particularly agreeable? In terms of Sharia law, I mean, ISIS are doing it to an extreme level, probably the pure level of Sharia law. Because, well, I wouldn't say it's pure level, because Sharia law says just cut the hand, but they just cut everything else apart from the hand. But in terms of Sharia law, according to Sharia law, 3 women are equal to 1 man. That's why you can be married to 3 wives. In terms of if a woman gets raped, that basically it can only be considered rape if she has a male witness to it. Who witnesses a rape? The rapist.
3 witnesses, they say.
Or 3 witnesses. So they have a laws, but are them laws equal? According to them laws, that if you're not following a believer of Muhammad, then basically you deserve to die. Even to the point, I remember in UCL, they basically gave out a leaflet that said, if you're a Jew, you must tie them up to trees and burn them. And they basically went out and gave this out to the Jewish society. And they were doing these kind of things. So they have a code of conduct, but we would say it's very disagreeable. So I'd basically put that they do have it, but it's there. Hindus, do they have a code of conduct? कि हिंदुओं को कोई रहत हैगी है? Auntie says yes. What is their रहत? ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਰਹਿਤ ਇਹ ਆ ਕਿ ਸ਼ੂਦਰਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੰਦਰ ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਸਕਦਾ. Yeah, they're basically, the रहत is based on that we are Brahmins and no untouchables or any of them can come to us. And you know that because even in the Guru Granth Sahib, the Bhagavad Bani talks about the examples of what happened with people that were Shudras. And what happened to Bhagat Namdev, what happened to the other Bhagats, etc. In Judaism, they do have a code of conduct. That's why you have Orthodox Jew and non-Orthodox Jews. Basically, Orthodox Jews have this certain thing where God built the earth in 6 days, on the 7th day you rest. So on the 7th day you can't do certain things. You can't drive a car, you can't do anything. So they have a very, very strict code of conduct. Buddhists, do Buddhists have a code of conduct? Buddhists do have a code of conduct. Do Sikhs have a code of conduct? Yes, we have a Ret Maryada. Identity, do Christians have an identity? Do Christians have an identity? The sign of the cross? I would say, if you look at properly practicing Christians, and I would consider them to be nuns, or basically monks, priests, etc., they have an identity, they have a roop. They basically have a uniform. They look in a certain way. But they are in a minority, but they do have that identity. In Islam, do they have an identity? Yes. They wear hijab. But the interesting thing is, in terms of Muslims, when I had a debate with them in London University, the topic was women, and basically they said, I said to them, they said in terms of women, they said we cover our women with burqas because we believe they're diamonds, and believe a diamond shouldn't be just thrown around on the streets, that you should cover it and protect it and keep it in by yourself. And I said that's fine, if that's how you believe. But I said that basically if you believe the burqa, je tusi kehne hai ki burqa hai na, कि वो सही है, and there goes basically the burqa stops people having lustful thoughts of our women. Yeah, look, in the women cover themselves in burqa, ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬੰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋ ਕਾਮ ਦੀਆਂ ਸੋਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਬਾਰੇ. ਫਿਰ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਜਵਾਬ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ, so I gave my response. I goes ਕਿ ਕਾਮ ਕੱਲਾ ਬੰਦਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਜਾਂ ਬੀਬੀਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੁੰਦਾ? Don't women have lustful thoughts as well? So burqa is the answer to stopping lustful thoughts. Why is it only the women wear burqas? Why don't your men wear burqas as well? That means the men should be covered from head to toe in a burqa as well and have basically just look through the slit. Why is it a completely different rule for women and a completely different rule for men? That a woman in Saudi Arabia has to wear a full black burqa in that much heat, and the man's walking around with his shorts on. You know, so surely the women should be wearing a burqa as well. In terms of Hinduism, does Hinduism have an identity? Brahmins have an identity. I won't say Hindus have identity. They've divided up into the caste system. Brahmins have their own identity, but I won't say Buddhists do. Jews have their very strict identity. They have a very strict look. Buddhists, do Buddhists have an identity? The monks do, yes. Sikhs, we have a very clear identity. Okay, is Christianity a peaceful religion? Right, we've got mixed reaction here. We've got a lot of nodding heads over there, and we've got no's here. So let's give it to the nodding heads first. Why do you think Christianity is a peaceful religion? Yes, I would totally agree with that. And humility. Why do you guys say no?
Coming back to your earlier thought about the 500 odd lines in the...
Yes. Okay, I would say that Christianity has been a major force for good on this earth. If you look at the way a lot of people practice it, and especially in modern day, that Christians are generally compassionate. Some of my people I've come across who impressed me the most, when I've been into black communities and done talks, and I look at people in the black community who are Christians, some of the most amazing human beings. They're so forgiving, they're compassionate, intelligent, etc. And generally, if you look at, there's so many organizations around the world which are funded by Christian groups that are doing amazing things for humanity. So I would basically, you've got to give credit where credit is due. They have got a really compassionate outlook on the world, yeah? But on the other side, if you look on the other side of the coin, in terms of the Bible, yes, it does have 500 quotes on war and killing other tribes. It does have that. On the other side is also that Christianity and Islam, both of them, have gone around the world and destroyed so many cultures by enforcing their culture onto them throughout the whole of history. So if you look at South America, the way Christianity was enforced there, you go to Australia and look at what happened to the Aborigine people, you go to Canada and look at what happened to the Inuit people, and so many cultures were destroyed by the progressive are only pushing this one agenda of Christianity over Islam and these things. Benjis would disagree.
Jesus didn't push that. That's an interpretation. Every religion can be interpreted by those that are not educated. So the fundamentals of each religion is the interpretation that people have.
Very good. I would totally agree with that. So, because this is what I mean, it's not about me, my opinions, and you, it's about you guys as a collective. So, is that your conclusion? I would agree to, you can't look at then what people have done in the name of Christianity, you can only look at what Jesus done. So, if you look at Jesus, I would agree, Jesus was a very peaceful person. Would you agree? Everyone sehmat with that? Everyone agree with that? Yeah? Okay. Muhammad, was Muhammad a peaceful, if we're then just looking at we're not looking at what the people have done in the name of religion, we're just looking at the person who was the forefront of that. Was Muhammad a peaceful person? Baji says definitely not peaceful. What do other people say?
No.
Baji says no. If you're selling slaves, you can't be peaceful. You can say if you're involved in wars, you can't be peaceful, but our Guru said we're involved in wars as well. So, what is your conclusion? Am I taxing now your brains? Am I making you think? Which is what I wanted to do. I want you to explore these ideas. So, is Muhammad a peaceful person? Benji saying no, they're nodding their heads. Consensus, put hands up if you say yes. That's telling. Okay, hands up if you say no. Okay. But interestingly, the word Islam means peace. The fundamental dictionary definition of the word Islam means peace. But I remember having a debate with Muslims again. I have a lot of debates with them. Basically after 9/11, and he said Islam means peace. And I goes, yeah, but if you say to any person who's 9 years old to about 70 years old who watched the trade tower things, and you say to them, if I say the word Islam, what's the first word that comes into your mind? I goes, the last word that will ever come into their mind will be peace. And that's the thing. And this is what followers, and this is what we have to be careful as well, because they're followers of a religion, we're followers of a religion. Are we following what Guru Nanak Dev Ji says to us? When people look at our actions and they hear the word Sikh, are they basically thinking what a Sikh actually means? So we have to think about these things. Okay, Hinduism. Is Hinduism a peaceful religion? Yeah, go on when you were tired. Is Hinduism a peaceful religion? Okay, I would say that a lot of Hindus are pacifists, which means they don't believe in violence, but I wouldn't say Hinduism is a peaceful religion, because if you're a peaceful religion, you won't believe in the caste system. Because that's not creating peace for all humanity, is it? You're fundamentally discriminating with people on so many levels. And the other thing is if you read the history of India, the majority of India was a Buddhist country. King Ashoka, he was basically involved in battles, and then after he saw the amount of hurt he created in the battles, he basically pushed Buddhism to such a level that majority of India became Buddhist. And they had many big cities like Panipat, etc. And Osare Buddhist again. But then the Shankarcharyas, who even exist till today, because most of the BJP is run by Shankarcharyas. Shankaracharya ne inna qatl-e-aam kita, they killed Buddhists en masse because Buddhists were pacifists or larde nahi sake. They massacred them in millions and eventually pushed the last remaining ones into Tibet. And that's where the Buddhists are now. So they basically have done one of the biggest massacres in world history. It was done by Hindus. So, would you class Hinduism as a peaceful religion? Judaism, is it a peaceful religion? It is, fundamentally. They want to live in peace. Unfortunately, you can't bring the politics of Israel into it, but they do, eventually, that's what they want. They just want the freedom to just live in peace. Buddhism, is Buddhism a peaceful religion? Yeah, Buddhism is very peaceful, because they just want to live in their nirvana. Are Sikhs a peaceful religion?
Yeah.
You have to think about this one.
Yeah.
Because Guru Sahib says, sometimes only through the sword will you bring peace. Yeah? So we are a peaceful religion in terms of our minds, but we are a righteous religion. And we realize that sometimes righteousness can only be brought through standing up against oppression. Do you agree? So are we fundamentally a peaceful religion? I would say yes. But we are not a pacifist religion. And ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ ਸੋਚਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ peaceful religion ਹਾਂ, ਪਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ pacifist religion ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ. ਇਹ means ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਕਿ ਜੋ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਦੁਨੀਆ 'ਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਚੁੱਪ ਕਰਕੇ ਬੈਠੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ. ਜਿੱਥੇ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਬੋਲਣਾ ਆ. ਜਿੱਥੇ ਖੜਨਾ ਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਖੜਨਾ ਆ. Okay, music. I'm just running through the last ones. Music. Does Christianity believe in music as a form of going towards God? Yeah, they sing hymns. Do Muslims believe in music? Right, you have to be careful here, because Shias do and Sunnis don't.
Sufis do.
Sorry, Sufis do. And Sufis are very, very... If you look at all the Muslims that were close to the Guru Sahibs, from Bhai Mardana was not actually a Muslim. He came from a Muslim background. But Amartari Singh Siga, or Charampal Oni Shaki Sigi. And sometimes apne log kende ya ke Bhai Mardana Musliman Siga. Bhai Mardana was the Amartari Gursikh. ਉਹਨੇ ਸਾਰੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਆਪਣੀ ਡਿਵੋਟ ਕੀਤੀ ਸੀ. ਉਹ ਅਮਰਤਾਰੀ ਸੀਗਾ. But ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਕਰਨ ਵਾਲੇ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਸੀਗੇ, you find all of them were Sufis and Shias. Sunnis ਨਹੀਂ ਸੀਗੇ. There were Shias and there were Sufis. ਜਿਹੜੇ Sufi ਆ, ਜਦੋਂ ਆਪਾਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਅੱਲਾਹੂ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ. ਉਹ ਭਗਤ ਆ. ਉਹ ਭਗਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ. ਉਹ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ. है ना, वो अपने म्यूजिक ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਮੰਨਦੇ ਆ. ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਉਹ ਛੇਤੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਲਿੰਕ ਬਣਾ ਲਿਆ ਸੀ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ. ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੁਨੀ ਆ, ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਸਾਰਾ ਬੰਦ ਕਰੋ. ਅਫਗਾਨਿਸਤਾਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਹੋਰ ਥਾਵਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ, ਹੁਣ ਕੱਲ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਸਿੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਗੋਲੀ ਮਾਰੀ ਨਨਕਾਣਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇ ਬਾਹਰ. ਹੈ ਨਾ, ਉਹ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨਾ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਫ਼ਰਤ ਖੋ ਰਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਬਸ ਅਸੀਂ ਸੁਨੀ ਆ ਅਤੇ ਜੋ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਉਹੀ ਹੋਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. part of that is ਉਹ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਦੇ. and in Iraq and Afghanistan ਜਿਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਟੇਪਾਂ ਵੀ ਆ ਥੋੜ੍ਹੀ ਜਿਹੀ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਦੀ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੋਲੀ ਮਾਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ. ਇੰਨਾ ਉਹ ਸਟ੍ਰਿਕਟਲੀ ਇਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ. So in terms of in Islam it's half, because I need certain sects of it. Hinduism, does it believe in music? Yeah. Judaism, does it believe in music? They have their prayers, but I'm not sure about music with them. Again, I'll put a question mark there. Buddhism, do they believe in the virtues of music? They do meditations, etc. Sikhi, not only do we believe in music, Guru Arjan Dev Ji invented instruments that never existed before. ਕਈ ਸਾਜ਼ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਐਗਜ਼ਿਸਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਨਵੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੇ. ਕਈ ਰਾਗ ਸੀਗੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਐਗਜ਼ਿਸਟ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ, ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਨ ਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਇਨਵੈਂਟ ਕੀਤੇ. ਇੰਨਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਹਿਬਾਨ ਨੂੰ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੀਗਾ, ਆਪਣੇ ਸਾਜ਼ਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਪਿਆਰ ਸੀਗਾ ਕਿ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਮਿਊਜ਼ਿਕ ਨੂੰ ਵਰਲਡ ਲੈਵਲ ਤੇ ਡਿਵੈਲਪ ਕੀਤਾ. Because ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਭਗਤੀ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਅੰਗ ਆ. Okay, lastly, well, we'll do two more. Langar. Do Christianities believe in langar? They believe in giving, and they're probably the most giving, even though there's certain things that came out recently that Sikhs are the most generous community. I would say on a world level, I would put Christians are a very generous community as well. Well, they do give a lot to other people. And I remember watching documentaries on Hurricane Katrina, where a lot of them weren't helping the black people, but then all the churches came out, all the white Christian churches came out and they said, we'll give you our houses, And for years they kept these people in their houses. And you think, apne log, if we had a black person or someone else coming to our house, asi ona rakhna siga. So I look at them and I have sadkar for that. I think that's beautiful. Onan changa kam kita. They are a very giving race. So they might not have langar, but they have giveness in terms of to give. Islam, do they believe in this whole thing about giving?
They believe in zakat, which is 2%.
Yeah, I had a friend of mine wrote a Facebook message, and he goes, we give a lot in our community, we give 2%. So I had to respond to him, I goes, is that it? Just 2%? Because as a Sikh, we have to give a minimum, and that's a very important thing, a minimum of 10%. Cut, 10%. I goes, there's some Gursikhs, like Bhai Jagjit Singh, gave up to 90% of his thing to this one. There still sings, I know singing in Chicago, he lives in a caravan, not because he hasn't got any money, because he gives everything to Shahid Provaz. He goes, all I need is a roof on my head and sun and bed. That's all I need. Everything else he gives to Shahid Provaz. And very Abhyasi Gursikh. Even they sing Hagaya. So Sikhs give. But in terms of Muslims, I'll tell you a quick story. Ramadan was coming up, I was at Kingston University, and a Muslim friend came up to me. Musliman menu kenda, Ramadan aa gaya, kenda asi fast karna, kenda Jagjit tum hi fast kar la. I goes, okay, main bhi fast kar lenna hai. I goes, tu fast kade karde ho? I goes, why do you fast? And he goes, because we look at all the people around the world that have no food, jina ko food nahi hega, asi fi our time asi nahi khanne, ta fi sanu pata lag janda ki ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਲਾਈਫ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਹੈ ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਅੱਲਾ ਦਾ ਸ਼ੁਕਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ that we thank Allah that ਸਾਡੇ ਕੋਲ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੀ ਲਾਈਫ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਮਿਲੀ ਹੈ I goes, okay, ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਚੰਗੀ ਗੱਲ ਹੈ I goes, ਫਿਰ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਕੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਖਾਣਾ ਖਾ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਆ okay ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਠੀਕ ਹੈ ਹੁਣ ਤੂੰ ਖੜ ਜਾ I goes, ਦਿਨ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਖਾਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਰਾਤ ਨੂੰ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੁੱਗਣਾ ਖਾ ਲੈਣਾ ਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਗਰੀਬ ਬੰਦੇ ਨੂੰ ਉਹਦਾ ਕੀ ਭਲਾ ਹੋਇਆ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਖਾਣਾ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਮੈਂ ਆਪਣਾ ਖਾਣਾ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਮੈਂ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਖਾਣਾ ਦੇ ਦਵਾਂ I goes, that's a better concept than fasting is langar because Guru Nanak Dev Ji said because if the Muslims are all fasting if 2 billion Muslims are fasting and there's another 2 billion people living without food then fasting hasn't helped them other 2 billion that don't have food they're still hungry because the Muslims that evening when the sun's gone down they're still eating just as much I guess surely it's better what Guru Nanak Dev Ji done kira apna khana ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੋ ਜਿਹਨਾਂ ਕੋ ਖਾਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਗੋਲਕ ਗਰੀਬ ਦਾ ਮੂੰਹ and that's why in Amritsar you will never have a homeless person who's hungry at night ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੀ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਆਇਆ you will never have anyone who's hungry isn't that do you agree isn't that a better concept than fasting is langar so now you know when Ramadan comes on how you can respond to them ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਲੰਗਰ ਚਲਾਓ it's better than fasting so Islam Hinduism, do they believe in giving? No. The Pandits believe in taking. That's why Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, Maas kar murk chagre. It's nothing to do with maas. Oh shab maas na koi sambandh nahi hega. Maas kar murk chagre because Pandit on they see, and they used to go to the pens, and jere pendan de vich log siki because they didn't want to give to the Pandits, and they knew they were vegetarians, intentionally they gave them meat to take the mickey out of them. And this is the thing. Because they ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੰਡਿਤ ਆ ਉਹ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਤੇ ਕਮਾਈਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਆਪ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਪਣੀ ਦਸਨ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਤ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਫਿਰ ਉਹ ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਲੰਗਰ ਕਿਦਾਂ ਛਕਾ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ they can't in Judaism do they believe in giving again I don't know enough about them Buddhism do they believe in giving if you run away from Maya if the fundamental thing about Buddhism is run away from the world because it's full of Maya then how can you give to the world And this is where Guru Nanak Dev Ji disagrees with Buddhism. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, you cannot run away from Maya. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, you got to live in Maya. Okay, the Maya de vich jeena hai, but like the lotus flower. Ke tusi iddan jeevo ke Maya thwate asar nahi kardi, oh ganda pani thwate asar nahi karda. Tusi for longer you're on top and you're so beautiful and pure like that lotus flower that you show everyone in society how to live. And that's what a Gursikh should be. A Gursikh in your town of Bradford should be showing that there's a people in this place that live who are beyond Kaam, who are beyond Krodh, who are beyond Ankar, who are beyond all these things, who are basically non-alcoholics, who basically do have a red, who do have beautiful lives, who do have beautiful families, who are Abhyasi, who do the Amrit Vela, and you show the rest of society, je jeena ya ta iddan jeena ya.
And they take as well because the background house is called Piksha. When they go, the monks go around begging around different houses.
Yeah, Baji says that in terms of the Buddhists, they again, similar to the way the Pandits do, they basically go and beg, and therefore their living comes from them. In terms of Sikhs, we give langar. And lastly, what does your religion say about other people who do not belong to your religion? So what do Christians say about people that don't belong to Christianity? How do they treat them? Yes, Baji?
They believe they won't go to heaven.
Sorry? What do Muslims say about non-Muslims? That they're kafirs. They're basically, they can't do anything. What do Hindus say about non-Hindus? Or let's put it more blatantly, what do Pandits say about Shudras? They're basically the low caste. Even till today, you go to south of India, a Brahmin can rape a Shudra woman and it's not an offence. It's not a criminal offence. It's not. They're treated so badly. In Judaism, what do Jews say about non-Jews? The biggest conflict in Judaism is not even between Jews and non-Jews. It's between Orthodox Jews and non-Orthodox Jews. They have so many conflicts in their community in just between that. Are you following Judaism or not? Because Judaism is a very tightly narrow religion. You either follow it or you don't. It's a very closed religion. What do Buddhists say about non-Buddhists? The reality is they say nothing. Because if you're a Buddhist, you run away from Maya. You've forgotten everything. So they become irrelevant to you. So you can't say they're discriminatory. They just basically are put half because they basically just left everything. What do Sikhs say about non-Sikhs? We say Nanak Naam, Chardi Kala, Tere Bane, Sarvat Davala. We say, it doesn't matter who you are, every day I'll still do ardas for you. Ke Nanak de naam te, Chardi Kalaya, assi fe bhi thoda sarvat da pala banna. You can still come to the Darbar Sahib. 4 directions are open. But if you want to get to Sachkhand, there's only one direction. So we're basically open access to everybody. We don't judge anybody. Anyone can come here. Nanak Naam Chardi Kala, Tere Bane, Sarvat da pala. But we would always do Sarvat da pala everywhere. And even till today, it was only 2 weeks ago, Ravi was in Iraq. And he was basically, Iraq, near Syria, with the Kurds. And there's basically Sikh relief in Kashmir. It's all over the Indian media, even till today. Interesting thing is, I Facebook पे speak लिखिया सीगा कि इंग्लैंड तो सिख जा रहे आ कश्मीर ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ मदद ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ. But the biggest organization in India, the RSS, ਉਹ ਕਸ਼ਮੀਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਡੱਕਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਕਿਆ. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਜਾ ਕੇ ਲੁਧਿਆਣਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਵੱਡਾ ਕੈਂਪ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ, ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹਿੰਦੂ ਹੋ. ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਏਜੰਡੇ ਤੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਰਹੇ, ਪਰ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕਸ਼ਮੀਰ ਆ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਲੋਰ ਆ, ਜਿੱਥੇ ਫਲੱਡਸ ਆਏ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਇੱਕ ਡੱਕਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚੱਕ ਰਹੇ. They're the best funded organization in India and they have millions of members. ਕਿ ਉਹ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਆ ਜਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ? This is what we need to think about. So, coming to the conclusion, Christianity, you've got 1, half, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. You come to Islam, 1, 2. Hinduism, half, 1.5. Judaism, 4. Buddhism, 3.5. Sikhi, 10. What is the most common sense religion? And this is the thing. Everywhere I go to speak about, in Leeds University 2 years ago, I went to the Atheist Society. They had a panel of all the people from all the religions. And at the end of it, they said, Sikhs, you guys are a really nice religion. They called me back, and it was called One-to-One with Sikhs. And they had about 20 of these atheists questioning me. And again, at the end of that, they said, we don't believe in religion, but if we ever followed a religion, it would only be the Sikh religion. That you guys have a beautiful religion. The biggest problem in our religion is that we haven't got enough people talking about our religion. कि आप access नहीं provide कर रहे to our religion. We have the most beautiful religion. But the next time ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੋਈ ਕਹਿੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਾਬਰਤਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਨਹੀਂ, ਅਸੀਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਾਬਰਤਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ, ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਨਸਾਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਾਬਰਤਾ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਆ. We give all human beings barabarta. So we don't judge someone because they're a Muslim. We don't judge someone because they're a Buddhist. We don't judge someone because of that. But when it comes to philosophy, Guru Nanak Naam the philosophy, Odiya, that is the surest one. And even Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, it goes even higher than that, because truthful living is high, but higher than that is basically, truth is high, but higher than that is truthful living. Sarv dharm mein shrest dharm. So the highest living, highest dharma of all, what is that? Is Naam. So you can be a Sikh and you say, yeah, Sikhan de kol asara ko sega ya, but je Sikhan kol Naam nahi hega. So you got to have Naam. If you haven't got Naam, does he Sikh nahi hege? That's the thing. For us to experience all these things, so we have to bring these fundamental things in our lives. Has that been helpful today? Has this made you think a bit? Now when you talk to your children, can you talk to them in a way that you can explain these things? Because when you explain these things, I've been to so many children in classes throughout UK and Europe, where a lot of the children, before I'd done this, they weren't confident. And they were saying, basically, it doesn't matter if I basically go to the church, it doesn't matter if I go to here, it doesn't matter if I go to there. But after they've done this, and we spelled it all out for them, then they say, yeah man, Sikhi is the best religion, I'm proud to be Sikh. If apne school na jaake kehte yeah main dastar banni hai because I'm a Sikh and we're solid. I haven't even talked to you about history yet. Because if we talk about history, what is Christian history? We are the only religion that talks just as much about our history in our Gurdwara as we do about our philosophy. No other religion does that. Aur koi dharm karta nahi hai. When do you go to a Christian church service and they talk about Christian history? When do you go to an Islamic mosque and they talk about Islamic history? They don't. When do you go to Buddhists and they talk about Buddhist history? Because Buddhist history doesn't exist. They spent all their history in caves. We talk about it day in, day out. Every divan, you mention something about our itihas. Because we've got hundreds of shaheeds. Yeah? When I spoke in Parliament, they asked me to speak once on Baisakhi, and some of the MPs were talking about how does Baisakhi, how does that compare to Christian religion, etc. And I said to him, you had one Jesus, he was resurrected, and he was the leader of your faith. We had 5 Singhs that were resurrected, and they were not even the leaders of our faith. But they had enough power to be resurrected by our Guru. So each one of them is equal to your one Jesus. Because they got resurrected as well. ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਮੂੰਹ ਖੁੱਲ ਗਏ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਵਾਬ ਨਹੀਂ ਦੇਣਾ ਆਉਂਦਾ ਸੀ. But we are powerful. We will speak like that. And I want you guys to start speaking like that. Then your children will be proud. Because when you compare, Christian, what is their history? Yes, they had shaheeds against the Romans. They were killed by the lions in their colosseums, etc. But most of Christian history is based around going around the world and converting all the other indigenous people into Christianity. What is Islam? Islam is one of the biggest mass murder philosophies around the world. Not only have they killed non-Muslims, throughout history, because Jars of Souls of our history is basically being shared with Muslims killing us. But essentially, they've killed just as much Muslims. Muslims killing Muslims. When I went to Ireland and I was debating with them, I thought there's only Sunnis and Shias. And they said to me, actually, there's 55 sects in Islam and we're all killing each other. They goes, there's 55 sects in Islam. I thought there's only 2. What is Hindu religion's history? They've allowed themselves to be oppressed for thousands of years by the Muslims, etc. They basically use the name of Guru Gobind Singh. They create the caste system, they've oppressed other people. That's their history. Judaism, what's Judaism's history? They had great people like Moses, who was a great person. But essentially, what else have they done? Buddha, but they spent all the years living in caves. You look at Sikhs, we got more shaheeds than anyone else. And we know the names of all of them. And we are proud of all of them, and we commemorate them all. But fundamentally we don't have to be like the Gori, where they have to invent Superman and Spider-Man and everyone else, because on other kings and queens in their history, they've got no role models for them. Because what happened in UK, you look at UK history, what do you study when you study in schools, UK history? You study King Henry VIII and his 6 wives. That he had 6 wives. That he wanted to have a divorce with his first wife, so they had to create another religion, and so they split Christianity into Protestants and Catholics, just because he wanted to have a divorce. This is the history that we study. Yeah? And therefore what they did, what did the English people do? They invented King Arthur. They invented Robin Hood. They didn't really exist, they were fables. Just to show their children, if you want to know about chivalry and about goodness and righteousness, these are our examples. So they couldn't find examples in their history. Unhone invent karna pita. America's only got 100 years of history. It doesn't. Before there was just the Red Indians who they killed en masse. So what do you talk about American history? Who have they got examples? Yes, they have got George Washington. Yes, they have got Malcolm X. Yes, they have got Martin Luther King. And they've got these Lincoln and they've got these great people. But essentially what have Americans done? They invented Superman and Spider-Man and Mickey Mouse to teach their children. You know, this is what it is, Sesame Street, to teach their children. We don't need all these things. Because to teach our children, what have we got? We got Bhai Jagjit Singh. We got Banda Singh Bahadur. We got Baba Deep Singh. We got Mata Pakur. So when my children, my 4-year-old, once he was, I shouldn't be telling you this, but once he was in a park in Vancouver and he got lost. And some of the Buzurg said to him, "Put tu kaun hai?" And he goes, "I'm Banda Singh Bahadur." Because all he's been watching is them cartoons and it's ingrained in him, "Okay, I'm Banda Singh Bahadur." And this is the way our kids are. And this is what I want you to do with your kids. I want you to give them real role models, not cartoons. You teach them, yes, you are like Mata Pakur. You can become like that. You can become like Mata Gujri. I want you to do that level of abhyas. I want you to have that kind of character. I want you to be like Baba Deep Singh. I want you to be like Bhai Jagjit Singh. Because we've got something no one else has got. So, has this all been helpful for you?
Yeah.
I know it's long-winded, and I know it's different. It's not what you get in a normal divan. But hopefully the idea is that you expand your minds and you start thinking. And I want you to be thinking about this. Analyze what is around you, and then compare it with what your Guru has given you, and then you'll be more proud to be a Sikh. Pulchik maaf karna, Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.